Tenure Talk, presented by the Procurement Foundry, with your host, Sarah Scudder. This episode is sponsored by Activity. Activity is a client-side technology advisory firm that provides analysis, planning, evaluation, and implementation services that allow complex enterprises to rationalize contact center as a service and unified communications as a service strategies, making smarter cloud investments and realize the promise of client-centric, agile, and cost-effective contact centers faster. How they do it: build CFO-level business case models for CCAAS and UCAAS transformations, create client-side program plans that accelerate the decision process with a clear focus on outcome achievement, forge alignment between C-suite, finance, business unit, and IT executives to ensure complete cross-functional buy-in to the solution, timeline, and outcomes. And finally, Activity provides a true partner-centric approach that ensure we support our clients before, during, and after their selection and implementation process.
Welcome to the Procurement Foundry Show, Tenure Talks. We ask the same 5 questions each week, providing you with chewable bites of expertise. I am your host, Sarah Scudder, print procurement guru. I run Real Sourcing Network, a technology company that provides an innovative way for companies to buy high quality print for less. I am super excited to have Mert with us today. He looks like he brought his office home with him. He's got a cool backdrop going on. And before we started, we were laughing a little bit about the M&M commercial that ran during the Super Bowl. It was definitely one of my faves. So Mert, thank you for being with us. I wanted to start off the conversation making it a little bit fun and casual. So I'd like to ask you to share 2 personal, random, non-business related fun facts about yourself.
Awesome. So Sarah, thanks very much for having me. 2 random fun facts. So the first one is my hobby is paragliding. So I go and fly off of remote mountains across the globe whenever I can, which got impacted by COVID, but I'm hoping to resume that later this year if things get better. So,
and Mert, what is that called again?
Paragliding. So it is a parachute that you carry on your backpack. You climb or get to a top of a hill, open it up, couple of steps, you are up in the air, and you fly for hours and hours, kilometers and kilometers, and land somewhere in the middle of nowhere and get back home. So it's a free flying sport, basically.
So you are the very first person that I've ever met that has that as a hobby. So super interesting and brave.
Yes, thank you. And the second one is the fun story about snow sports, right? So I had been skiing for many years, and 3 years ago, my then 7-year-old son wanted to learn snowboarding. So I just jumped into the sport with him. He learned it way faster than I did, of course. And I had many small injuries, but after a certain age, I learned a new sport, which was a great success in the last 3 years.
So you are one for adventure.
Yes, I like adrenaline. Yeah.
So Mert, tell me a little bit about yourself and your current role.
Sure, of course, Sarah. So Mert Kacmaz, I'm born and raised in Turkey, lived and worked in Turkey, UK, and past 12 years or so in US. I'm married to another buyer, my beloved wife, Sybil. She works for J&J in their raw and pack material side. And we are raising 2 emerging buyers at home, as you can imagine, right? The negotiations at home are usually tougher than the ones at work, and kids are picking up very well, unfortunately. So right now, I'm currently leading the North America and Latin America indirects for Mars.
So you are the procurement, you're the adventure and procurement family.
Yes. It's a good summary, Sarah, yes.
Mert, tell me who was one person, mentor, coach, or boss that helped you most in your career, and how did they help?
Yeah. The name comes to mind is Shashi Mandapati. He's a former boss and a coach, and hopefully a lifelong mentor for me. And he helped throughout my 17 plus year professional career in numerous times. And how, you ask? It is whenever I wasn't believing in myself, he was the one picking me up and encouraging me. He provided me various challenges, really different perspectives about particular situations, particular struggles, and whatnot. And last but not least, he was always there on the pivotal career decisions, like moving from Turkey to US back in 2019, like when I was just with P&G, with Duracell, and about to be divested from P&G to Berkshire Hathaway, or when I was ready for my transition from Berkshire to Mars. He was always there on the tip of the phone to really share his wisdom and coach and guide me throughout those career decisions.
I love to hear that you have such an amazing confidant, because not everybody has that person, and hopefully you'll be able to pay it forward and serve in that position for others as well.
Yes, doing my best, Sarah. And then I think that's really, really important. You don't realize how important to have a mentor until they touch your life, touch your career. So definitely looking forward to passing it forward.
I think sometimes mentors appear when we're not even looking. Yeah. And sometimes those are the people that become the most impactful.
True, yeah.
Mert, what is the most innovative thing that you've seen in your space in the past 12 months?
Really, really good question. Couple of angles, right? And we are already playing with those in Mars as well. One is advanced analytics driven sourcing, right? So with the help of now machine learning and AI, and using the big data sets, we are empowering our buyers to go to markets and run bids in a really innovative way, right? I cannot go into the details of it, but I'm gonna leave the audience with the fact that machine learning and AI has real application opportunities in the procurement realm. The second thing that I had seen, which was really interesting, is leveraging the satellite images and drone images to identify and better forecast the crop yields, right? We are tinkering with it for cocoa pods, right? For our chocolate products, but I had seen that being used in the agricultural industry for various other crop yield projections, right? Which helps, again, the commodity buyers to better predict and hedge accordingly, right? The pricing to secure the financial stability for our brands and other companies as well. Sarah.
Mert, I think it's really interesting that you mentioned drones, because a lot of people, me included, I think I associate drones with transportation. So getting products or goods to customers. But I think the agricultural play is really, really interesting. And I know here I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we've had just terrible fires over the last couple of years. And they're actually starting to use drones to go in and take pictures and help not only deal with existing fires, but kind of scope out and help prepare so things don't get so bad again.
Yeah. And again, both drones and the image or video processing becoming extremely automated, right? That you may not even need a human intervention, right? The computers can do the scouting, the route planning, picture taking, parsing those images into whatever you want to see or observe, and spit out the outcome, the prediction. So it's getting really powerful.
Really exciting because I think it's talking about two things. One, it's speed to market, so getting things almost instantaneously, and two, freeing up time and resources at companies so people can focus on strategic initiatives and not being so much in the weeds of some of these day-to-day more manual tasks.
Yeah.
Mert, what is one unique thing that we don't know about you professionally?
Okay. Yeah, I was just going to default to my paragliding answer, Sarah, but you add the professionally till then. So, good question. One unique thing that you don't know about me professionally. I think I would go with the bias for action, right? Although I had started at entry levels in P&G and grow throughout the career, had international assignments, and now I'm leading the largest region and largest spend area for Mars. One thing that did not change since day one is my bias for action, right? So I really, really love to roll my sleeves and get to the weeds of things, get to the bottom of things before really just driving a direction. Because usually, and that was my challenge as well, as you grow in the organization, there's a risk that you lose your touch with what's happening in the ground with specific category in a specific market, specific country. And it gives me two things, right? One, I can better understand where my team is, where the business is, where the industry is, and two, it helps a lot to relatively early career talent and buyers in those locations because they like that interaction, right? And you can just build that personal relationship with them, which really drives the engagement too. So bias for action, rolling your sleeves and getting into the bottom of things, right? Getting things done had been my motto since I first started my career back in the day, and still I'm enjoying that, Sarah.
Mert, it reminds me, I have a lot of friends in the restaurant and hospitality space, and I know that there are some organizations that when you start, no matter what level, they actually have you go work in the restaurants for whether it's a week or 2 weeks. And I think that's a big eye opener to people so they don't lose touch about what's actually happening on the ground and what's happening day to day in the business.
Yeah, exactly.
So Mert, my final question for you today is, what is one piece of advice you can give people clawing up the ranks?
Yeah. So we are talking about procurement as a domain, right? And I got this advice on my week 2, and I will pay that forward. So I joined P&G, fresh graduate after doing my master's degree in UK, went back to Turkey and joined P&G as the plant purchasing manager, right? Fresh out of the college, I had a team of 14. You can say it's lucky, it's unlucky, right? It was very challenging to step into that role. And back then, the associate director for the whole Europe, Middle East, Africa region came into Turkey on my week 2 to welcome and kind of just part of the executive exposure. And he must have noticed that I was like lost. It was way above my head, right? I'm just all the policies, the team dynamics. Plant is a high pace environment for a procurement buyer, right? The line needs to keep going. I was like literally drowning on my week 2 and just thinking like, what did I do? And where did I end up? This is like way above what I can pull off. And we were just going through some internal control stuff. He came into the room, see all those folders of contracts and internal control manuals and whatnot. And he said, like, just close all of them. And I said, okay, why? And he said, like, forget about all those policies, processes, all that folders, right? Just remember this. I expect you, he said, to spend company's money as if it is your own money. And everything else will fall into place. Don't worry about it, right? And that's kind of a very strong North Star that I still remember, right? when things get tough, when there's a conflict, there's a dilemma, there's a situation at hand, right? That's my go-to question, right? If this was my own company and my own wallet, how would I behave or decide or drive that conversation? And that really grounds me, helps me, and that would be my one piece of advice to people closing up the ranks, right? Always do the right thing first, and then focus on doing the thing right? And there's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Mert. I absolutely love that advice. It's something that stuck with me throughout my career as well. And now I've transitioned onto the entrepreneurial side, and it's really important when you have small budgets and small teams and limited resources. Every single thing you spend is really, really important.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being on our show today, Mert.
Thank you very much for having me, Sarah. This was a pleasure.